Flash games. We all know them, we all love them, we all miss them. For many kids around my age, born around the early 2000s, late 90s, Flash games were a cornerstone of our childhoods. If you know anything about me, you'll also know that Digimon was a cornerstone of my childhood, and in fact kind of carried that through to being an adult there. And while I did love Digimon World on PS1, still do, I couldn't really play that in school when we had computer time. And also, there was something exciting and fresh about playing free games on the internet, so naturally it didn't take me long to find Digimon games. Flash games, specifically. Now, I don't know if any of you guys remember these, but I remember them being a lot better than they actually are. Which brings me to the video. Today we're going to be exploring some, shall we say, forgotten Digimon Flash games. And if I'm being honest, I probably should have left these in the past, with the rose-tinted goggles and whatnot. Anyways, let's get to it. So, our first game, brilliantly titled Digimon game, was developed to promote, well, the old Fox Kids website, which, you know, isn't really a thing anymore. It follows you as Tai, playing as Tai and Agumon, and you have to collect crests and fight through enemies and solve puzzles, weirdly, but they're not very difficult, but we'll get to that. So without any further preamble, let's get into the game. So this opens up immediately when you open the game up, and the first thing you'll notice is it's very loud. But who knows, maybe that's just the title screen. It is an early Flash game after all. Let's see what the story has to offer. So Genai's saying that evil Digimons have torn a gap in the Digi world and are about to escape and wreak havoc on the real world. And by getting the crest will save the real world. Nice, okay, simple setup. Seems easy enough, let's get into it. Oh no. Are you guys feeling okay, Tai and Agumon? You don't quite look yourselves. Yeah, so the game is point and click, and we can control either Agumon or Tai at the same time. The other one will just follow, and we have to collect mushrooms, weirdly, to help Agumon digivolve, I guess, which I don't quite remember that plot point in the show, but we move. Hope you enjoyed that music, because it is going to loop the entire time. And we see, I think, a Garamon. So we go over, ready to fight. How hard can the game be? Oh, we're already dead. So it turns out, if you let them touch you, they are going to melt your health. Okay, well, we know that now. Let's try again. Collect the mushrooms. And let's switch to Agumon, ready to battle. This time we'll digivolve. Firstly, it's nice to hear the sound effects from the show, seeing as, well, it doesn't look much like the show at the moment. We make short work of the Garamon, and he drops a cherry like a Pac-Man ghost, which is also fine. These heal us, by the way, which will come in handy later on. We switch back, collect the mushroom, and head across the bridge, where we fight another Garamon. I think I get the gameplay loop now. To mix things up, we try fighting him as Agumon, quickly realise that this isn't very viable, digivolve, and make short work of the Garamon. It did end up being a lot closer than I'd have liked. Moving on to the next screen, and holy crap, he's right there. We run away, kill him, and oh, this one drops the crest. Only Tai can pick it up though, so we have to switch back. I'm pretty sure the crest pretty much acts like a crystal in a Crash Bandicoot game where you need it to finish a level. So we pick it up and head on to the right. So there's another Garamon here. So we go over and kill it, and oh wow, he killed us. Well, you know what that means. Pick up the mushrooms, kill the Garamon, get the crest, and we're back. It was just a silly mistake anyway. This time we'll go in for sure. Oh, he's got us again. Yeah, as I said before, you really don't want to let these guys touch you. So on our next run, we keep our distance and sort him out quickly, which gets us a heal. We also get the next Garamon as well, which also gets us a heal. But stupidly, we de-digivolve, leaving us with 17 and unable to digivolve for the next fight. Somehow, through a show of incredible skill and tactics, we managed to defeat the Garamon as Agumon and get to the end of the level. We enter through the door in the cave. We'll solve this puzzle. Wonder how long we're going to be stuck on this. Turns out we just got to turn the rings until we make the Crest of Reliability, which, let's just say I had to click less than 3 times in each ring, and there's only 3 rings, so it wasn't, you know, incredibly difficult. But here's where disaster strikes. The game crashes. Apparently the next level hasn't really been downloaded properly, so I'm not even sure if I'm able to access it. But being a trooper, we load the game up, and we try again. We reach the end and unfortunately it crashes again, which means I won't be playing level 2, which honestly I'm not that sad about. I mean, I feel like you guys don't need me to tell you that this game isn't particularly good or fun. Again, taking into consideration that it's, I hope to God, an early Flash game, you've got to give it the benefit of the doubt for the time that it was made. However, would I like to play it again? No, not really. As you guys can probably tell, it's, shall we say, no swords and sandals. Game number 2 today is a little game called Bool Blocker, which I don't know why it looks like that. That's the way it looks in the window that I opened it in. Again, this one's made for Fox Kids, but, and I need you to stay with me when I say this, is actually less impressive than the previous game. So as you can see from the title screen, Black Gears, as seen in the first season of Digimon, trying to take over the whole Digi-world. Only Biomon can help by destroying them before they leave the Digi-Island. Again, simple enough premise for a game, and I get that's kind of what they're going for. But why is it that only Biomon can stop the Black Gears? Where are the other Digimon? Why don't they Digivolve? They all had, champion level Digimon at this point, except for, well, Angemon, but... Well, actually, I suppose he can fly, so he could have been used for this game. Huh. Anyway, let's get into it. The instructions. Let's see. The Black Gears have come from the volcano in the centre of the island. They try to fly towards the coast and escape the island altogether. Use the left and right cursor keys, I assume arrow keys, to make Biomon fly around the island and hit the gears before they leave. Press space to digi-flip, that's a new one, to the other side of the island, useful when gears get really fast. Thank you, instructions. There are 4 levels to complete, with more and more gears to deal with on each level. The gears often fly at different speeds, so you have to think carefully about which one to go for first. Okay, that doesn't seem too tough. Let's give it a go. I wonder what majesty is waiting beyond this instruction screen. Oh. This is it, isn't it? Yeah, so we press one arrow key that sends us around the island in kind of a circle motion. And we have to, well, catch the gears. But it's kind of janky. The digi-flip is helpful. They were right with that, I guess. But yeah, we can let 4 gears slip before, well, game over. It does start speeding up. And I did give this one 2 goes before I kind of had enough with it. But yeah, this is more of like one of those little mini-game Flash games. And honestly, there are much more interesting Flash games out there, despite the Digimon coat of paint on this one. Not very interested. I think it's a neat little detail that the levels are denoted by the crest of love. But that just begs the question of why they didn't use that for lives instead. Either way, our highest score was 123. If you can find this game online, feel free to give it a go and see if you can get a better score than me. It's probably not very difficult. I didn't, put too much effort into this one. But yeah, that's Bool Blocker. So far, all of our games have followed Digimon Adventure 01 with the original cast and Digimon. However, our third and final game today actually, I guess, happens in the Tamers Universe, although I have to assume it's non-canon. To be honest, this one was probably the best game of the few. Not that that's a particularly high bar, but it really did have kind of like a baseline of what could be a really good game. However, it ended up being a bit janky and the controls, much like the other two, are a bit skew-if, which you'll see me fumbling the controls a lot. It's because we use the arrow keys, but they're kind of turned to their side, where right goes forward, up goes left, down goes right, and left goes down. I think I said that right? Even saying it is confusing. Either way, let's get into the third game, which is called Digimon Digital Monsters Digimon Adventure. Oh no, this title screen looks familiar. Please don't be like the first game. Oh wait, keyboard controls, that's a good sign. And we can enter a secret password to double our Digimon's health. Not only do I not know it, but let's try without it to begin with. Okay, so we've entered the game and we are Teato by the looks of things. There's a, I want to say JPEG of Henry up there, which looks really out of place because we're like rendered in actual sprite. We have no goals completed and no goals. So, just like being a teenager again, I don't know. Okay, so with nothing else kind of obvious to do, we go and talk to him, I guess. He tells us that he needs our help and that he's lost Terriermon, his partner Digimon. And spoiler alert, this is the last you'll hear of this because you never hear about Terriermon again. Apparently he's been kidnapped and been taken to the docks, so we proceed right and try and find him, where we've run into our first battle with Cockroachmon. Here we can see that the battle system is kind of turn-based and strategic. We'll get back to that later because honestly, well, you'll see. A few firebolts later and we've beaten our first Roachmon. Sorry, not Cockroachmon, my mistake. Next we run into Rika, who says that Renamon's also been captured, as has Calamon, who's been taken to the sewers. But to get to him we need a secret Digivice, and to do that we're going to go beat a Digimon on the docks, which, had they not forgotten about Terriermon, would, be very convenient. So we head up to the docks, and after a short game of Frogger, where the obstacles are dolphins, we reach Red Vegemon, who's our first big opponent. We beat him pretty easily, and get the Digivice. Or so we think, until Impmon appears out of nowhere and tells us that he actually broke it into 3 parts, and now we're going to have to go beat 3 different Digimon to get the rest of the parts. Well, 2 more I suppose, since we've already beat Vegemon. Naturally, these can be found in the amusement park and the junkyard, respectively. So we head first to the amusement park, where we have to solve this bumper car puzzle. Good God, this controls like cheeks. We find Esamon on the other side, and after it wasn't particularly challenging, but definitely it was a battle. So after a battle, we beat him and level up to level 5. The fight with Vegemon only leveled us up to 2, and this basically took us all the way up the next 3. Interesting. We get our Digivice piece, and luckily there's a quick way through the bumper car puzzle, so we don't have to go through that hell again. Next stop is the junkyard, and the puzzle in this area is this river of forklifts, I guess. Seeing as last time I checked, Teato wasn't forklift certified, we have to cross the road in between. Again, it's Frogger, which is only made difficult because of the controls being garbage. I feel like no one's going to argue me on that one. I'd be surprised if anyone even remembers this game. We make it across and find that the boss for this area is Dokugumon. Now, I don't know if it's something to do with the order that I did things in, but Dokugumon was very easy and could barely hit me. I might have just got very lucky, but to be honest, a lot of the fights, if you haven't seen already on screen, essentially you miss like 80% of the time, including the enemies, except for one, which we'll get to. You seem to just miss quite a lot, which drags the fights out longer than they need to be. Granted, I didn't study the code or anything, so there might be ways to fix this or like buff your accuracy. I don't know, but it did prove quite frustrating, especially with the harder fights later on. Beating Dokugumon brings us to level 6, and also gives us the final piece of the Digivice, which means we can head to the sewers, which is where Calamon is. When we arrive in the sewer, we're faced with a horde of enemy Digimon that we would not be able to take. However, apparently the Digivice is working and protects us, so we can walk on straight through, which is very convenient, because even if we could fight all of them one-on-one and we regen our health in between, with the amount you miss in this game, it would take 7 decades to fight all of them. We make it to the end where we find Skullmeramon, who says the one funny line in the entire game, which is sort of reminiscent of the type of humour in the English dub for Digimon, which makes a lot of sense considering this is another Fox Kids game, I think. Anyway, we fight him, and he has an attack that can do 70 damage, which is like just under half our health bar. It is quite ridiculous, however, he seems to miss more than we do, so we get off quite lucky and end up winning. We learn this attack, which is called Lava Storm, on beating him, and we get to level 7. It's here where I remember that we can actually switch out attacks because we've been learning a couple on the way, and so we stick on Lava Storm. Having rescued Calamon, he lets us know that there's a key to close the portal which will save the world, I guess. To get the key, we have to go fight a Digimon in one of the 3 areas we've been to already. Apparently Calamon can't just tell us where it is, but does drop a hint in the form of a, I guess, spelling error. Well, it's not an error, it's in air quotes, it's purposeful, but still. So we head to the docks to fight the next boss and get the key to the portal. After rescuing Calamon, we're actually able to digivolve into Growlmon, which isn't like an option in the game, it's just permanent now. We have more health and I presume more damage. However, when we see our next opponent, it's really not going to matter that we're champion level now. When I say I lost the fight with Metal Seedramon like 8 times in a row, just know that that is probably an understatement. This fight is terrible, in my opinion. You're always missing, because, I don't know, I think that's just a fault in the game. And Metal Seedramon has 2 attacks. One that life steals from you, so they're constantly healing, and the other one that freezes you, so you can't fight back. I just couldn't beat him, but it was after losing a fight that was so close that I just thought, I'm a grown-up, I'm 25 years old, I can beat this Flash game for children. And with my resolve hardened, we went in for one more fight. When I say I was literally shaking, I would be being melodramatic, but it was very exciting to beat him finally, because I was stuck on it for ages, and it was genuinely getting me frustrated for a while there. Regardless, we beat him, head back to the sewers to use the key, and apparently that last boss wasn't hard enough, because now we fight Myotismon, which by all means should be easier because he's an ultimate Digimon, but the game doesn't really follow logic like that, I guess. After the long battle with Metal Seedramon, I feel insurmountable, and that I can beat anything. Except this fight is bullshit. He hits for 75 damage a time, his other move is to heal, which heals him for 75 a time, and our maximum damage that we can drop on him is 70, which would be fine, except we miss every 2 out of 3 attacks. So I tried this fight, but I just couldn't see a way of beating him, because every time we hurt him, he just healed. And while we could do the same, I didn't feel like sitting down and playing this for 40 minutes only to lose, or even get nowhere, to be honest. So that's where I had to call it with this game. If anyone has beat this game, feel free to let me know how it ends down below. But personally, I just couldn't deal with it, really, and didn't want to play it anymore, so I didn't. So, Digimon, Digital Monsters, Digimon Adventure. Was it any good? Yes, and the thing is, it's very heartbreaking because up until the last 2 fights, I was having a really good time. Like, don't get me wrong, it was obviously very janky, and the controls were kind of terrible, but there's something just novel about playing old Flash games, especially when they're, you know, something you enjoy, like Digimon for me. However, the last 2 fights really did take the wind out of my sails a little bit, because they were just a little bit too hard. That said, it did seem like you could go back and forwards between certain areas and trigger kind of regular battles, and there was a leveling system, so I'm not sure if I was meant to grind more. Either way, a game kind of this level of quality, not to make it sound worse than it is, because it was fun. I just wasn't willing to spend the time to, you know, grind up levels to try and beat the last boss again. I think it was the last boss, I would never know. As I say, if you know how the game ends, feel free to let me know. So to end this section, I just want to say that while the game isn't perfect by any stretch, if you like Digimon, especially Tamers, and just want something stupid to play, it's good. It's the best Flash game I've played of the 3 today. You just have to get used to the controls, which I did by flipping my keyboard to the 90 degrees to the left, or, you know, anti-clockwise. Yeah, feel free to give it a go and let me know what you think. So, those were 3 Digimon Flash games that, well, I assume everyone's forgotten. I certainly forgot about them. But let me know. Do you remember these games? Did you play them growing up? Are you going to perhaps revisit them? Would you like to see me play them again? Or play some more? Or play other Flash games, not Digimon ones? Feel free to let me know. Comments are down there for a reason. Other than that, if you want to support me, please like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And with all that said, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Digimon, Digiball 2!